Around this time of year, online shopping activity increases as people prepare for the holiday season. It's projected that consumers will spend between 210 and 218 billion with a B dollars on e-commerce sales. The increase in online activity also adds risk to online predators and scammers. Joining us now to give us more information on protecting our wallets and our identities during this season is Anthony Hendricks, Director and Chair of the Cybersecurity and Data Privacy Practice Group at Crowe Dunlevy. Anthony, thank you so much for taking time to join us here on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
I am so happy to be here, Ray. And as you mentioned, I am a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer. And so this conversation that we're going to have is just should not be considered legal advice. Instead, it's just a conversation between two friends with a couple of thousand people watching as we discuss.
Spoken like a man who's been told before, well, my lawyer said, and you're not anybody's lawyer. Anthony, give us a big overview for a second. This happens to be the most wonderful time of the year. It's also the most consumerist time of the year. And as technology has changed, we don't have to go into stores in the same way that we used to. We can sit in the comforts of our home and purchase things, but that also opens us up to some liabilities. Explain what those might be.
Sure. This is a great time of the year, a great holiday season. Multiple holidays are celebrated. And because of this, we are shopping, and we're doing a lot of our shopping online. And so the 10 biggest shopping days occur during this time period. But it's also a time for our cyber criminals and cyber scammers to try to take advantage of us. And a lot of times they do this by tricking us into visiting websites that may pretend to be reputable websites. But it's actually a website created by our criminals, and they try to get us to provide our contact information. They try to get us to buy things that will never show up just so that they can get our credit card information.
Now everybody seems to think that Black Friday is the big shopping day. Even now there's language around something Cyber Monday or something to the effect. But if I'm not mistaken, the biggest shopping days are actually in December. When are those?
Yeah, so Black Friday is the biggest shopping day, but when you look at the top 10 shopping days of the year, 8 of those are in December. And those are the days that we would probably expect, which would be the Saturday before Christmas, that Thursday before Christmas for our late shoppers, and then after Christmas, Boxing Day, the day after Christmas, and then that Saturday following Christmas where people go and return and buy other things or use the money that they may have gotten for the holiday to make purchases.
So you talked about the fake websites, but are there any other ways that the scammers out here will try to get our identities, our money, and just take advantage of us?
Sure. Along with these fake websites, they'll also focus on how people want to be generous during this time. And so you may get phone calls, you may get pieces of mail from people who are pretending to be fake charities to get you to donate money to them. And it's not going to a good cause. It's going to our criminals to line their pockets.
And so if I've been a victim of this scamming or phishing or any of these other exploitations, what then can I do or should I do?
So there are a number of things that you can do, but I think the first thing you need to do is to forgive yourself. Be easy on yourself because these criminals are getting better and better. And there are a lot of people who are well equipped in cybersecurity know-how that also fall victim. So the first thing you do is give yourself a little bit of grace. And so now we need to start doing things to help us solve this problem. And so one thing that I would focus on is calling our credit card company. It's important that when you're doing this holiday shopping to try to use your credit card because it gives you an added layer of protection. And so if money is going to be spent, it's not coming out of your bank account, it's coming out of your credit card. And you can call your credit card company, explain that you were a victim of fraud, and then ask for a new credit card and then go through and cancel the purchases or dispute the charges and go through that process. The next thing you probably want to do is to take a moment, and I know this sounds counterintuitive, but take a moment, pull out a piece of paper and a pen, and start writing down every piece of information that you have potentially given these criminals. And knowing the type of information that you've given kind of tells you what you should be doing next. Did you give your social security number? Did you give your birth date? Did you give your credit card information or your bank account information? And so that kind of gives you a guidepost of what you should be doing. The third thing that I suggest is to talk to law enforcement, talk to your local police department, talk to the FBI, or maybe even report it to your state attorney general. And so you're doing this for two reasons. You're doing this, one, to help yourself, to get someone to try to investigate and try to help you solve your problem. But you're also doing this for other people so that law enforcement kind of knows what types of trends and scams that are happening during this season. It helps them with their future investigations, and it also helps them create advisories. The FBI does a wonderful job of creating advisories about cyber scams that people should be aware of. And so they send those out based on feedback that they get when people report crimes to them. Along with that, you also want to work on your credit. You want to talk to the credit bureaus and either place a freeze on your credits, or you can set up an alert so that if anyone submits an application for credit, they have to call you first on your phone and get a confirmation from you that, yes, I authorize this. And then finally, what you should do is to start creating a better cybersecurity habit so it doesn't happen again to you. And so some habits that you can start creating is creating strong passwords that are different for every site. Another habit that you can do is taking email safety seriously. And that just means taking a moment and looking at emails that you receive to make sure that they're coming from the person that you think it is. And then to make sure that the links that are sent to you are actually links to reputable sites, or maybe it's just information that you can find yourself without even clicking the link.
Yeah, we don't want to end up to be, I remember there was like a pipeline hacking that caused everything to freeze for some time ago, forgive the vagaries. But the one takeaway from that story I remember was that a person clicked on an advertisement for an attractive woman showing her breast, and that shut down all the oil through much of mid-Atlantic United States, so we don't want to be there. Now, Anthony, here's something that I found interesting that so many people probably had their own questions about. Vice President Kamala Harris was uncomfortable using Bluetooth settings on her smartphone because of the security risks that are associated with this. When I first heard about this story, it triggered the idea of thinking about President Barack Obama when he first was elected and his willingness or want to use his BlackBerry, but so many folks were saying that that's sensitive information that could easily be compromising, should not do it. So first, can you give us a bit of an overview about why Vice President Harris may not want to use Bluetooth because of the sensitivity of the information?
Sure. What the vice president is doing is something that's very appropriate and something that I tell all of my clients to do, which is understand the type of risk that you have. As the vice president, she has access to all types of important and classified information. And so her risk level is very, very high. And so she wants to take this seriously and make sure that she doesn't expose herself and our country's secrets to vulnerabilities related to Bluetooth. And so there are some vulnerabilities to Bluetooth, but it takes a high level of cyber capability, of computer capability to exploit these vulnerabilities. And so it would only be sophisticated attackers. And those would be the type of people who would go after the vice president.
So I have Bluetooth on my phone. I love putting on a good podcast, putting on my favorite album, starting to cook. Should I now be leery about using my Bluetooth setting?
No, I wouldn't worry about it. What I would do is that when you're not using your Bluetooth, when you're not connected to something, to just turn off your Bluetooth. But again, the risk related to Bluetooth is very small. It takes super sophisticated technical skills to exploit it. And so those people aren't likely to go after me or to go after you. But if you are worried about Bluetooth, then just make sure to just turn it off when you're not listening to your favorite podcast.
You can tell all the lawyers in our panel, because I'm going to bring our panel in here as well. We have Matt Manning, a civil rights attorney. We have Kelly Bethea. We have Michael Imhotep. But you could tell our lawyers, especially the male lawyers, because they're very well suited. You know, lawyers don't go anywhere without their proper suits and necks and tie on. Matt, do you have anything for Anthony around the question of cybersecurity? Is there anything in your travels, maybe in your work, that maybe has popped up that just brought some curiosity as that you would like to have Anthony share with our audience today?
I do. And first, I want to commend you for that proviso. I appreciate that because I have to do the same thing when I'm talking to folks. But my question for you, Anthony, is actually about the connectivity of other devices besides our phone. So right now I'm wearing AirPods. I've got an Apple Watch. A lot of people have things that are connected to phones. What kind of issues do we have as it relates to security, just environmentally, with some of those other peripheral devices that we use? Are there any things that we need to do, in your estimation, to make sure we're safe when we're out physically shopping and using things like an Apple Watch or other devices?
Sure. The one important thing that people should do is to always update your device with the newest software. So a lot of times people will get these messages that say, hey, we're going to update in the next 5 minutes, and people hit snooze and don't do that. And a lot of times they don't spell it out what these patches do, but they are actually protecting us from vulnerabilities. There was a recent study that looked at the exploits that were used to cause a ransomware attack. And they found that a lot of these exploits are old vulnerabilities that companies provided patches for that people just simply didn't patch. And so that's one of the important things that you can do, is to accept and update your software on all of your connected devices.
And we're going to grill you again, Anthony, because Kelly's also an attorney, or at least has her JD. So we want to offer opportunity. Kelly, you have anything for Anthony?
I do. So sorry if I missed this part of your comments, but I am curious. So during the holidays, especially now with COVID, there's a lot of online shopping, such as you said. But as opposed to, opening up an email and getting scammed and hacked and the like, people will go onto a website that they think is an online store and get hacked or get their money taken out of, robbed, cyber robbed, however you say that. So I guess my question is, to avoid that from happening, I know there are sites out there that will tell you what site is fake and what's real. Do you have any recommendations, just generally, because I know that you are not giving legal advice, any recommendations for sites that we can use to basically screen for those fake ones when we do our online shopping?
So I don't have a website that you can use to screen for this, but one thing that I found that's very, very useful is to get a password manager. And so a password manager is simply a piece of software that allows you to store your passwords in one single place. And the great thing about a password manager is that it remembers the website where they need to put the password at. So if you go to a website that looks like it's Netflix, or looks like it's Walmart, and you go in to try to put in your password using your password manager, a number of them won't let you put in that information because it's actually not that website. It's actually a different website. And so that's one way of having a stopgap in there to help you.
Now, Michael, I want to give you an opportunity to ask Anthony a question as well. And I'm joking earlier about all these lawyers that have been here, but I think Anthony might get the best questions from those of us who aren't lawyers, but those of us who actually ask questions for a living. So, Michael, what do you have?
All right. Well, Anthony, thanks for this great information. And I printed out this security tip sheet as well. So very quickly here, what are some good antivirus packages that you may recommend for the computer? I know you're not giving legal advice, but maybe computer advice. What are some good antivirus packages you recommend? And other thing with the smart TVs, a lot of people are going to buy smart TVs this Christmas, right? Is there a risk of smart TVs being hacked because now they have all the apps on them for Facebook and Netflix and things like this? You have your password, credit card information attached in those different apps as well. So is there a risk of the smart TVs being hacked?
Sure. Let's first start with the antivirus software recommendations. And so I try to be vendor neutral. And so what I say is it's important to have a antivirus. And so there are so many options there, and you can go through and you can look and you can find the one that matches your price point and matches the features that you want. But it's just important to have one. When it comes to our smart devices like smart TVs, or maybe you have Siri and Alexa enabled devices at home, it's important to understand that these devices are collecting information. So you need to be informed about what information they're collecting. And then a lot of times these devices come with pre-installed standard passwords. They come with just a set password, and all of them have the same set password. And everyone just forgets to change that pre-installed password to something specific just for you. And so by doing that, it now becomes harder for people to access your smart device because you're no longer using that pre-installed basic password. Now you have something that is a strong password that you can memorize and is not a repeated password of some of the other passwords that you have.
All right, thank you.
Anthony, this has been such great information. How can folks find or follow you? How can they get more information about you?
Sure, you can visit my website, anthonyjhendricks.com. You can also listen to my podcast, Nothing About You Says Computer Technology, available where all fine podcasts are.
And for those who might not get it, Nothing About You Says Computer Technology is a specific reference, a direct homage to what?
Kings of Comedy, Steve Harvey, telling a heckling fan that I know we're not supposed to say this about other Black people, but nothing about you says computer or school.
Boogie, I know we ain't supposed to say this about one another here, but nothing about you say computer school. So if you start the typing on your podcast device while you're cooking, your Bluetooth can also hack you while you're listening to Anthony's podcast. Just joking. Anthony, we recognize that it's not legal advice, so we thank you so much for the time you spent. We thank you for joining us here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Thank you so much for having me.
Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Betty is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon. So now, she's free to become Bear Hug Betty. Settle in, kids. You'll be there a while. Ooh, where you going?
Time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A Black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Like, wow, Roland was amazing on there.
Stay Black, I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
You dig?